Good morning. We are live. It's time for Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee. That's me, your host. We're going to be talking about a topic today near and dear to my heart. Hopefully, it enriches me as it enriches you. Most of the time we do these shows, of course, you understand it's for us all to learn how to be better. Midweek Motivation Live, motivating you to success in every area, right on the screen, every area of life. People already tuning in to watch the show today. We are live in Amarillo, Texas, and around the world by way of the World Wide Web, of course. We broadcast live. We simulcast to Facebook and LinkedIn at 10 o'clock every Wednesday morning. And then we are migrated out to all of the major podcast platforms through a website called Buzzsprout. For those of you that don't know, we use a website called Buzzsprout. And that website sends the show out to all major podcast platforms, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple iTunes, wherever you go to listen to your content. And then we upload the show to the Midweek Motivation Live YouTube channel later in the day, usually same day. And you can find that there, Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee on YouTube. If you watch on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. That helps us grow and increase our influence in the world. And as well, click on the notification bell on there and you'll be notified whenever a new video is uploaded to YouTube as well. Good morning, Ms. Gina Blair. Good morning from Napa Valley. My friends, the Blairs are out in Napa Valley along with Tommy and touring some great wineries, vineyards, and enjoying the West Coast. Good to see you tuning in all the way from the West Coast today. We got people that watch on the West Coast, the East Coast, South Texas, Mexico. We've had people that tune in from Sweden, Switzerland, and France. And then we also broadcast live from different locations. I've broadcast from Vegas, broadcast from the Oregon coast, broadcast numerous locations as well. So we always love to see where people are tuning in and watching the show from. But today's show is all about the title of the show is Thank You for Being a Friend, and we're going to be talking about relationships today. Many of the people that watch the show talk to me about these things all the time, and some viewers that watch the show don't have a lot of friends, or maybe you don't have a lot of relationships. Some people are in the middle of a million very surface level relationships, and they're wondering how to develop deeper, more meaningful relationships. Well, we're going to talk about some of the tips and tricks, some of the pointers, some of the success strategies that I have used, that I have had to learn from the time I was a very young man, very introverted, very skinny, picked on young man as a young teenager and a youth, even before my teenage years. And thank you, Cody. Cody says I'm looking good. I appreciate that. Any day I get up and look better than the day before, that's a win in my book. Thank you, Miss Lisa, also watching. You are my good friend. You're one of my best friends too. I appreciate you so much. People say all the time, and I'm just going to stick my neck out on a rope here, and people say people of the opposite sex cannot be friends, especially if they're married. And I say, especially if they are married, it's even better. You can be friends with people of the opposite sex. You have to practice all of the methods we're going to use today, but then also within the boundaries of your own marriage vows and everything else. Lisa's a great friend. Cody and Gina watching the show right now, great friends. Gina and I have a great relationship. Cody's not worried about me. It's all good. I love them. They love me and my wife. My wife is friends with all of the people as well. But there are people that watch the show and that would say men and women cannot be friends. And I would disagree. Everything that's done above board and in the bounds of your marriage vows, your relationship vows, your personal boundaries, if you're not married, all of those things come into effect. But come on, we're all grown-ups here. Okay. Those of us that are grown-ups, and some of you that are not. I have a lot of youth, some of the youth from our church that watch the show and things like that as well. And my daughter's the youth director at our church and helps lead and guide and change the lives of all these young people. And it's up to us as adults to set great examples for them of how to have great, healthy relationships. So for people that don't have healthy relationships, people that have many surface level relationships and not in many deep, close relationships, I think that we're going to delve into these 5 points that we're going to talk about today are going to help you in all areas of relationship, either growing or building or deepening and enriching those relationships. So this topic today, I hope it touches your heart like it touches mine. I hope it enriches your life. How to be a better friend. Friendships are vital for emotional well-being. We've done multiple shows on mental health. And the friendship part of that, the relationship building, is another aspect of our mental health. But part of this for your emotional health and well-being, there's sort of this triangle of life that we all have, right? And one side is the physical, one is the mental, and the other is the social. And all three sides of that triangle need to be clicking and ticking. You know what I mean? Your engine needs to be firing on all cylinders for you to have a well-rounded and healthy life. So nurturing relationships on that social side also helps the mental side of your well-being. So let's explore 5 actionable points to enhance your friendship skills. We're going to dive in. We're skipping right past our intro video today. Point number 1, how to be a better friend. Practice active listening. I've touched on this just a little bit in the last show just to help people out as part of our other topic. But practicing active listening is vitally important for people to build and enrich relationships. One of the most powerful ways to be a better friend is practicing active listening. This means giving your full attention when your friend is speaking, ensuring that they feel heard and valued, and that their opinions and their words mean just as much or more than yours. When you listen actively, you're not only focusing on your words, but you're also paying attention to their tone and their body language. In sales, we have learned that you need to mirror and match. A lot of you that are in sales understand that. When you're talking with a person who may be talking a little louder and a little faster, and you want to encourage that person, and you would mirror and match that person and try to speak in the same tone and maybe the same speed, and you develop a synergy in that conversation. So mirroring and matching is an important part of that. But when you're listening actively, you're not, like I said, not only focusing on the words, but their body language, which is a large part of what they're saying, as well as their facial expressions and the tone in which they're speaking. There are times that in the language of sales, you would learn to slow down or speed up a conversation to achieve different goals. But while we're talking about relationship building, learn to listen with your eyes as much as you do your ears when you're talking to friends. Okay, that's active listening. Show that you're engaged, and you can nod, make eye contact. Of course, I love making eye contact. And with some people, it freaks them out, and they're like, why are you looking right in my eyes? And it's like, I'm just actively listening. And they're like, you're freaking me out. Knock it off. And it's kind of funny, but it really is. It shows that you're engaged. You nod, you lean in, right? We've talked about that before. Lean in, act like you got some sense and you're paying attention to what they're saying, right? That's engaging with that person. You're providing also verbal affirmations such as I see, or I understand, or hey. And a lot of people in conversation, they love to say this, and they say, does that make sense? Or do you know what I mean? And you say, yes, I do. Hey, that makes perfect sense to me. And if it doesn't, that's when you speak up and tell them. And that's going to be another point later on in the show. But definitely show that you're engaged with them. Nod, give them affirmations to what they're saying that you understand. That makes sense. Don't interrupt. And this is one I have trouble with, and I have learned to work on it through the years, because most people, when you are listening, you're not actively listening. You're listening in the second point. You're just listening for you to be able to interject something you want to say to something they said. And that's not really active listening. You catch on to something they said, and maybe you don't agree with that, and you're just waiting for them to give you a break. They're going to take one little breath, and you're going to jump in and interrupt them and start talking. And in that relationship, you can't help yourself, and you just have to talk. And we call that word vomit. And no one likes word vomit. You don't like it when it happens to you. and your friends don't like it when it happens to them. So learn to actively listen, let the other person speak more than you do. And I think that you will find that your relationship definitely takes on a new tone. Ask open-ended questions when you're talking to that person. If they say, does that make sense? Say, yes, it does. But what about this? Or am I understanding you correctly? The way I interpret what you're saying is this. Is that what you mean? And that gives them a chance to come back and reiterate what they're saying, or maybe explain this point or position that they're on. And that practice fosters trust, and it demonstrates that you care about their thoughts, their feelings, and emotions. And that in the long run, that ends up strengthening that bond, that relationship. When they understand that they can trust you to not judge what they're saying, but just openly discuss it with them and ask them about maybe defining some of the things that they mean better, that definitely builds trust. And one of the foundations of enriching your friendships or building new friendships, growing friendships, is setting a foundation of trust. Without trust, you have no relationship. Boom. Without trust, you have no relationship. Okay. Those of you that have a hard time making friends, write that down. You should just write that down. I hope you're taking notes. Without a foundation of trust, you don't have anything to build a relationship on. Number 2, being there for people. Be there in times of need. This is one of those that some friends get really, really, really wrong. And I think that it has affected all of us in one way, shape, or form in the past. I have gone through very needy times in my life in the past years. And I don't just mean recently. I mean, most of us, all of our lives, have had areas that have come up, times in our life where we have been very needy, where we have gone through trauma, where we have gone through loss, where we have gone through emotional stress. We've gone through financial lack and need. And having a friend to be there and come alongside of you and sometimes just sit with you. Maybe it's your spouse or friend and they just hold your hand or they pet your shoulder and say, there. If you guys watch Big Bang Theory, they might make you a warm beverage because that's what's needed with a friend when you're in a time of need. And they could sing Soft Kitty, Warm Kitty to you. And it's a big joke, but it's true. That's how you grow friends. Being a good friend means showing up, especially during those tough times, whether your friend is facing that personal crisis, dealing with stress, just feeling down. Your presence alone can make a significant difference in the relationship. Offer your support by checking in regularly. If someone is tuned out and you haven't heard from them in a couple of days, send them a text message or a call and ask them how they're doing. There's Larry from Bandon, Oregon. My buddy, how are you, bud? Good to see you watching again today as well. Larry's a good guy. Good guy. I've got good friends. A lot of good people watch the show. That's why they're good people. They watch Midweek Motivation Live with Patrick Lee. Back on topic. Offer your support, like I said, by checking in. If you haven't heard from someone in a few days, check on them. See how they're doing. Maybe just drop by. Maybe they need some chicken soup. Maybe they've been a little under the weather and they need something. Maybe they've just been through a dark period or something happened in their life and they're not oversharers. Those of you who are know who you are, and you have to tell everybody everything that happens in your life. But there are many people that don't do that. And if you start sensing that this person is vacant or distant, you might check in with them. And that's part of being there. And if that person has a need, you're there for them. Maybe it's a few bucks you need to loan them. Maybe it's just it is food. Maybe they're under the weather. Maybe they've just been feeling like you don't necessarily care about them as much. And they feel like they're the person that always feels like they are there for you, but you're never there for them. I was trying to find a good way to say that. And there are those of you that watch the show and those of you that maybe this is your first time and you may define yourself as one of those people that you feel like you're always there for everyone else and no one else is ever there for you. And you probably don't have very many friends. Well, there's probably a common denominator in there. If that's your opinion of you and everyone else, the common denominator is probably you, and you might need to change your mindset a little bit about that, develop a growth mindset in these areas of how to be a better friend. And we talked about that word vomit a little bit ago. If you're the type of person that always feels like you have to overshare, you have to let everyone know everything going on with you, your family, your dogs, your cats, and your weird cousin Al, that they may get tired of hearing you just talk about you, right? Who had that song out there? Toby Keith or one of those guys? Let's talk about me for a change instead of you. Occasionally, I like to talk about me. I like to get a word in edgewise, maybe. You know what I mean? Larry, recovering from neck surgery. Hey, praying for you, brother. I hope that your recovery is well. And I just believe, I believe in Jesus' name that you recover 100%. You feel better than you ever did before, in Jesus' name. But yeah, sometimes you're that person. Don't hesitate to take initiative in the relationship. If you feel like that person may be distant, maybe go on a coffee date, right? Show up and say, hey, let's go for a walk around the block and let's talk. Let's catch up. Let's sit out on the porch, drink a glass of iced tea and just talk about what's going on. Even just the phone call alone can show that an act of kindness, that you're engaged. Be there for people. Bringing them a meal if they're in a time of need, that's a wonderful thing. But sending an encouraging text or a phone call can also show that you care, that you're thinking about them, that they have been on your mind. Remember, being there for a friend strengthens your relationship and reinforces the idea that they are not alone in their struggles and that you're there to share them with them, right? That's what friends do. You come alongside each other and you share in your successes and trials. Speaking of successes, point number 3, learn to celebrate their successes. Don't just ask them to celebrate yours. This is one that really gets my goat sometimes. And it goes back to what we were saying. There are many people in our relationships that just want to brag. Got that? Okay. That's the type of person they are. We want to be that person's friend. Yes. Well, there are times that you have successes in your life, things that you have done, and that person comes and celebrates you, and they may not always communicate things that go on in their life, but if they do achieve something, you need to learn to celebrate their successes more so than you do your own. And I'm all about celebrating successes. As part of active goal setting and as part about achieving the goal, you need to celebrate the small victories that you have along the way. But part of being a good friend is learning to celebrate those successes that your friends have also. Friendship isn't just about supporting each other during hard times. It's also about celebrating the good times as well. Those great moments, the things that they have achieved and deserve to be celebrated. Learning to acknowledge your friends' achievements, no matter how big or small, can significantly enhance your relationship. When your friend, business partner, team member, whatever it is, when they accomplish something, a small goal, whether they get a promotion in their job or a new job, a personal milestone, maybe that person has been on a weight loss journey or they've been on a mental health journey and they have learned how to grow some relationships and not beat themselves up for things that have happened in their life. Those are things that deserve to be rewarded and celebrated, and you need to learn to do that with them. And this is also a part of you developing self-confidence in yourself, is learning to celebrate these goals, but also learning to, while we're growing these relationships, these top circle people that you're in relationship with, celebrating all of that together is incredibly important. It just is. There's a way I was going to say this, but it might hurt someone's feelings. So I'm just not. Whatever that milestone is, whatever that challenge is, learn to celebrate that. And also, one of the foundational parts of this is don't hang around with people that tolerate you. Only learn to hang around people that celebrate you. I guess that's the easiest way to say that without hurting people's feelings. Don't hang around where you're tolerated. Only hang around in environments where you're celebrated. And if you're the kind of person that celebrates your friends' successes, you will find that you have a much better, much more rewarding circle of friends, right? Learn that sometimes it's not the big things, sometimes it's the simple things. And a simple expression of pride in that person, congratulations, a pat on the back, an attaboy, a cupcake, whatever that is, a card that says congratulations goes a long way in helping you develop great, healthy relationships, right? It not only reinforces your bond with that person, but also shows them that you genuinely care about their happiness. And isn't that what relationships are all about? Us being happy together? Celebrating together creates shared joy and fosters a positive atmosphere in your friendship. Ding, ding, ding. That's a big one. Celebrate their successes, not just your own. Hello, Valerie. Good to see you watching all the way from down in Austin this morning. Also, awesome. Lisa loves celebrating her friends. That is one thing that you get very, very, that you are very well at. Good. I'm tongue-tied today. That's one of the things you have gotten down very well. There you go. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's the joy of doing a live show. I read the comments while I'm talking. And sometimes it's like squirrel. Sometimes it's like, yes, I agree. Let's get back on topic. Lisa and most of the women over there, Cheryl and the ladies at Chicago Title. Lisa's the premier Chicago Title agent here in Amarillo, Texas, and phenomenal title agent. So there's my plug for Chicago Title. If you're in the need of title work, you need a title transferred, you've had a death in the family, you've got an inheritance, a divorce, whatever it may be, or you're buying a new home, selling a home, and you need title work, title policies, you need to go to Chicago Title in Amarillo, Texas. The show is not sponsored by Chicago Title, but there's Lisa's plug for the day. Lisa's a phenomenal friend and title agent at Chicago Title. She's like, stop. I love it. Don't stop. Say some more. Yes. Point number 4, open communication and honesty. And people are going to be saying, what? Be honest. How many of you have friends that you feel like you can never just be honest with? And they're your friend. And you're like, that's great. Hey, they've been my friend for a long time. Maybe they talk too much. Well, they're my friend, and all they do is talk about them. Well, they're my friend, but they always want me to pay for everything. Well, they're my friend, but I never feel like I can just be me around them. I have to be this persona that they think that I am, or I'm going to let them down. And it's just the way the communication has been. It's never, you're always having to watch your words because you know certain speech patterns are going to trigger that person. Yeah, you guys know who you are. You may be that person, right? But if you're not, you certainly know people like that. Cody, I get in trouble for being too honest. Hey, we all do from time to time, but it's a critical foundational pillar of being a good friend, right? Be honest. If you always have to watch your words, if you always have to walk on eggshells around somebody, is that person really a friend, or is that a relationship that you want to develop into a better friendship? Maybe it's one of those that you don't, right? And that person will continue to be a surface level friend, but it's not going to be the person that you actually develop this deep relationship with. Well, if you want that to change and you want that to be that type of a relationship, this is point number 4 is probably the one that's the most important of the whole show today. Communicate openly and honestly with them. Open and honest communication is the cornerstone of any strong friendship. Don't shy away from discussing your feelings or addressing conflict in the relationship when they come up, and they will come up. Learn to approach these conversations with kindness and empathy, not sympathy. Sympathy is different. Sympathy is caring for someone in their time of need. They've had a loss. They're ill. Could be their pet passed away. and you sympathize with them. You care for them with love and deep feeling and emotion. Empathy is a deep meaning of understanding. I empathize with you. I'm putting myself in the same ditch with you to feel what you're feeling. I empathize with you. So when you learn to talk with those people with this empathy of understanding, you're aiming to understand their perspective of why they're feeling the way they feel. Share your thoughts and feelings in a constructive manner with them and encourage them to do the same with you. Be able to tell them, hey, just share your feelings. It doesn't matter. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you're just honest with me and just tell me how you feel. And this is part of the relationship, right, with your spouse, with your boyfriend and girlfriend, fiance, whatever it may be, but also in business and in team building and in business relationships. Hey, if something's going south, just tell me the truth. And if you'll tell me the truth, we can come up with a strategy or a method to either move through this, move past this, jump over this hurdle, dig a ditch to get around it, whatever. But if you continue to beat around the bush or never address the white elephant in the room, right, you're not really building a relationship. You're simply carrying on the same pattern you've been in, and you're not going to be able to break that if you don't include honesty in that. Learn to be transparent. Transparency builds trust, and it prevents misunderstandings. Misunderstandings, especially in texting, which is it's not part of the topic, but it goes hand in hand with the topic. Text messaging is probably one of the biggest problems with America and the world today, is people don't understand what someone is trying to say. So not only do we have text messaging, but now we have a million emojis that we have to add emojis to our conversations. Why do we have to say LOL at the end of every sentence in a text message? Because if you don't, they get the feeling that you're just saying it in a blunt manner. So you have to add an LOL, which means laugh out loud. So why would I just say, how are you doing? And you say, great, LOL. Why are you laughing out loud that you're doing great? Why are you saying laugh out loud that I'm sitting in church and not able to take your call? LOL. It just doesn't make sense, because there's so much misunderstanding that happens when we're not speaking with someone face to face or on the phone, skin to skin, right? Learn to be transparent and honest with people. Open communication. It's key. It's normal for friends to disagree. You shouldn't have to add a smiley face or an LOL or a laughing emoji in your live conversations, right? So learning to be honest in these relationships and in these conversations is key to building trust. Remember, the key is how you handle the situation and the conversation with that person. And if you'll just be honest with them, if you don't feel right about something they're saying, or there's something they're asking you to do goes against your boundaries or your belief system, just tell them that. You don't have to hide it from them, because as long as you hide that, then they continue to build on that relationship in that manner, thinking that that's okay with you. And then it eventually comes to a head to where you have this outburst about it. And they say, I didn't know this was such a big deal to you. I'm sorry. Why are you so mad? And it's because you weren't honest to them in the beginning of the relationship, right? In the beginning of that conversation and relationship building part of the friendship. So now you've gotten to where you've been hiding something, and now everyone's mad about it, and it comes to a head. And many times relationships are lost over things like that. And they say, well, if you would have just been honest with me 6 years ago, maybe this wouldn't have come to this. And that person just starts developing relationships with other people because of that dishonesty. So why lose a relationship over that? Just learn to be honest up front. If you don't agree with something, just say, no, I don't like that. That's easy enough. And that friend goes, oh, cool. Okay, that's cool. Now they understand, right? It's normal for us to disagree, but if we're honest with each other, we can learn how we agree and what we agree on. Learn to foster an environment where both of you in the relationship feel safe to express your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. That's how you create a deeper connection, strengthen your relationship over time. And then finally, and this is a tough one with me as a realtor, a lot of people, they say, well, Patrick lives on Patrick time. And I'm like, yes, Cody's famous for saying that. Well, he's on Patrick time. And that means he'll do it when he wants to do it. He'll get there when he wants to get there. And when he wants to get there, and he'll do it with the people that he wants to do it with. And that's exactly true. And that's a way that I have cultured my life to be. There are certain things that are time management necessary and certain things that just aren't. But relationships is one of those that is. And it's not about being on time, it's making time. Number 5, make time for each other. If you want to be a friend, one of the best things we have that we can invest into other people is time. Cody says, living on Patrick time. That's true. I do. And I'm late for lunch every week at Fire Slice Pizza, which is phenomenal. Pizza and chicken wings and half price wine on Wednesdays. It's Wing Wednesday today. I'll probably be in for some wings at Fire Slice. Cody and Gina have best pizza and wings in town. It's amazing. 34th and Coulter, Fire Slice Pizza, Amarillo's back alley secret. Number 1 on Yelp for years. There's Cody's plug for today. I love my friends. We give each other a hard time, but we love each other. That's what we do. We make time for each other. When Cody has an event, I show up. When I have an event, I usually get with Cody and Gina and say, hey, I'm having an event. Lisa's the same way. A lot of people that watch the show are the same way. We make time for each other in our busy lives, and they are busy. One of the top three resources that we have to give is our time. It can be easy to let our friendship slip down the priority list by not making time for them. If we are so busy with other areas, one or two of our friends can feel slighted. And it's like, you don't ever make time for me. Making time with your friends is essential for nurturing those relationships. It may be tough from time to time, but you still need to do it. Schedule regular catch-ups with those people, whether in person or virtually on a phone, like I said, or a text. Treat these meetings or meetups as important appointments. You should schedule time in your phone to get with people. I have date nights with my spouse in real life. I have family time scheduled in my phone. Wednesday nights, if I'm at church from 6:30 till about 9 o'clock, you're just not going to get a hold of me. If you text me and I happen to have a moment in church or in the youth meeting or activity and I can respond, I will. Friday nights are date nights with my wife. Generally, we always go out to eat or we go do something with friends, and no one else is going to get me very much during those times. I spend time with her. I schedule time with her because I love her and she loves me. I hope. I believe she does. She continues to come home every day and tell me she loves me. So anyway, I believe that she does. That's just a little bit of family humor here. But schedule time with your friends too, not just your spouse and your family. If you're feeling like you haven't spent enough time with somebody, put them in your calendar. We've talked about this work-life balance. It doesn't exist. Work-life has a pendulum, and sometimes that pendulum swings over to the left and you spend a little more time with somebody, but then it needs to it'll swing back over to the right and you spend some time with someone else. You spend more time with your family than you spend more time with your friends. You spend a little more time with business. You spend a little more time with family. That's how we continue to maintain, right? If a watch only ticked in one direction, you notice that the spring, if you ever opened up the back of a watch, the dials, in there on the spring, they go back and forth. They don't just go forward. They go back and forth. And that's how you continue to make time. The pendulum on a grandfather clock has to go back and forth for time to move forward. Your relationships are sort of the same way. That may be a mental thing for you to remember. It's not about balance. You're not on this balance beam. It's a pendulum, and just learn to flow and you'll be so much happier. Be intentional about spending quality time together with your friends. This could be enjoying a meal, participating in a shared hobby, or simply having a great conversation. And sometimes, like Lisa and Cody and other people will sit down and they go, man, I miss you, friend. I hadn't talked to you enough lately. Or where have you been? We hadn't gotten together enough. And we're like, I agree. Let's go out for lunch. Let's go to dinner. Let's go to an event. Hey, let's plan an event. Why not? That's just what you do. That's how you grow friendships, right? Consistent effort in growing your friendship shows them that they matter to you and that you value them. And what better thing could we give a friend than to show them that they have value in our life? Additionally, being present during these moments allows you to create lasting bonds, memories that you've shared together, and strengthens your relationship, ensuring that your friendship continues to grow throughout the years. And that, my friends, is the time I have made for you today. Make time for people. And as we grow our friendships, as we grow the show, I continue to make time for you each and every week, Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. That's part of my way to sow into all of your lives. Thank you for tuning in to Midweek Motivation today. Remember, being a better friend requires intention. And I intentionally come back to do this each and every week for you. The show is growing. The downloads through Buzzsprout, they give me a report every week. The show continues to grow. Still nowhere near the level I want it to be, but it's still growing, and consistent growth is part of life. So I am motivating myself to success in every area of life as I motivate you too. So by doing this, be coming back each and every week, I just try to show you that I do care about you. I do love you, and I try to make an effort to be a good friend to you. And I would love to connect with each and every one of you on a deeper level, if possible. Reach out to me if there's something that I can do to help you or to be a better friend to you. Slide into my DMs, send me a message on Facebook, whatever it is you have to do. I'm pretty much an open book. I'm on all major social media platforms and YouTube as well. I'm easy to reach, and all of my contact information is all over the interwebs, and you can find me. Learn to practice all of these points that we've gone over in the show today. On how to be a better friend, be a proactive listener, an active listener, be there for your friends, show up and be involved in their lives, celebrate their successes, be honest with them, and make time for them. And I think that you'll have a much better sphere of friends. Learning to be there in the tough times, not just the good times, will help you create memories that last. Celebrating their successes, learning to communicate openly, and making time for each other will enrich your friendships and create lasting bonds. Until next time, cherish your friendships as I do, and I cherish each and every one of you. Keep motivating each other in love. Courage begins at the end of your comfort zone, right? So be courageous. Maybe dig a little deeper into some of these relationships. I think you might find that you have some better friends than you may believe. Until next time, this has been Patrick Lee with Midweek Motivation Live. I love you. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.